All right, it is also streaming now. So two things to start with. First one, graded assignment 3. I think the first question and 13th question is having a slight problem. First question is pretty obvious. I think the range has been wrongly given. I think they have missed a 4 on the last point, so that will be corrected. 13th question, I think the precision was somewhere around 52%, and the answer is showing around 51.5 or something. So these two will be corrected at the earliest. That's one thing. And as usual, we can get started with some questions that you have.
Like, if possible, could you please explain the Excel regression output regarding the key statistics standard errors for coefficients and intercepts briefly?
Okay, so I don't have that Excel output ready available. Hello, you have any idea? I think this was done a couple of weeks back by you, and the standard error is nothing but.
One second, let me see if I'm able to pull it up, or else I'll just explain it by words.
Yes, I understand the explanation. I mean that the range is there and the intercept value or the calculated value will fall in that range. But then how that is coming, if that can be explained.
How that is coming? The standard,
I mean that standard
coming?
error calculation and the range.
Okay. Okay. The standard error calculation basically follows the same thing that you do for the standard error for the model. Only thing is here you vary only that particular intercept and get it. Okay. I might not be able to tell this. Okay, let me do one thing. Bimlesh, just put this in the discourse. I will write up the thing and I'll put it up over there. It's currently not in scope for us. So
okay.
I'm not able to directly tell it to you. I will try to get a simple explanation and give it to you in the discourse. All right?
Sure, thank you.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, go ahead, Srishti.
So what is the syllabus for the quiz 2?
Quiz 2 is week 3 to 8.
Okay, 3 to 8. And so I have few doubts from the practice questions. Can I ask it now?
Yeah, please go ahead. Which week?
Okay, so practice 7.
PP7, all right, fantastic. Okay.
And it's question number 3.
1 second, let me just open PP7. Okay. Question number 3. What is the accuracy of the model? Okay.
Yeah, actually I'm getting a numeric value and it says a string value.
Oh, that must be a configuration error. 1 second. Accuracy. It must be a configuration error.
Week 7. Practice
Week 7, yeah. A logistic regression. Oh, it is
question number
only.
3 is numeric only.
It's numeric only. The thing is numeric. 1 second. Let me just show it to you.
Question 4 and 5 are strings.
Yes.
So week 3, the answer is numeric.
No, actually it's a question 4 and 5.
Oh, question 4 and 5 are strings. Okay, what is the oh, this is wrongly configured. Okay. Oh, okay. No. Fine. This is a trick question, right? I'm asking you precision for the model, recall for the model. I have not given you whether I'm asking you to compute the precision for 1 or 0. So it is cannot say. These two are trick questions.
Can it be so that in quiz such type of question is asked and there's as an MCQ and there's no such option like none of the above or cannot say?
Usually we will not do that. When we ask you a quiz question, we will make sure that in the quiz these are numeric, these are multiple choice with cannot say as an option. You can see the one of the past QPs has it. And I will also give you an update. You had asked me for a question bank.
Yes.
Unfortunately, this time we are not able to give it. we will make it available in the next run. Currently, we are not able to configure it. So it will not be available for you guys. So it will be made available from the next term.
Sir, could you
Okay.
please explain it once why it is not correct? The
Okay.
numeric values.
If I have to specify the precision or a recall for the model, I can do it only when I am specified whether I'm going to do it for the y is equal to 1 class or y is equal to 0 class. Without that, the precision term does not make sense because it's TP, right? True positives, the numerator. So your true positives will vary based on your predicting y or whether I want it for 0, the numerator.
Okay, so we want to predict for a class, not for a model.
The precision is for a particular class.
Okay.
The
And sir,
accuracy is for a model. Yes.
yeah. For the same practice assignment, there's question number 6.
Okay.
What is this?
So what you have to do is, in logistic regression, if you had gone through the videos of Sir, y predicted, right? This term is a probability. From this, we will actually tell you y hat, whether it is 1 or 0. And default threshold is 0.5. So if it's 0.5, greater than 0.5, then it is going to be 1. So this prediction is going to be 1, this is going to be 0, this is going to be 0, this is going to be 1, correct?
Yes.
So that is the threshold. So given y is equal to, given threshold of 0.5, you will get an accuracy. Now you are increasing it to 0.6. So for example, some of these values, let me say 0.6 does not come. Let's say we increase it to 0.7. Then this value becomes 0. Your prediction becomes 0. Correct?
Yes.
And hence obviously your accuracy is going to change.
Yes.
What was originally true positive will now become a false negative. Correct?
Yeah. Some of them.
Some of them. So that is what this says. So as you increase it from 0.5 to 0.6 to 0.7 to 0.9, is your accuracy increasing or decreasing is the question. How is the movement of those values between the true positives and true negatives?
So, sir, why is it increase then decrease? Why not it is decrease?
No, decrease then increase is also here. So the answer is decrease then increase.
Yeah, okay. Why is it so?
Because originally what is going to happen is those that the number, look, what is accuracy? Let me take up a whiteboard.
Yeah, accuracy is true positive plus true negative upon the whole
Upon
true
total number of
positive.
samples.
Yeah.
N. Okay. My accuracy is going to be true positives plus true negatives by true positives plus true negatives plus false positives plus false negatives. Correct? So this is the total sample size. Now what happens, and this is not a constant value, this is not always true. Remember, increase the threshold does not always mean decrease then increase. For this problem, it happens because what is happening is, if I increase the threshold, the movement tends to be more initially towards the outer cases. That is, the predictions are neither true positives nor true negatives, but becoming false positives and false negatives initially. Then I believe the number of true negatives are increasing, so the accuracy starts to increase. That is why in your case, it decreases, then increases. It varies from model to model. That is why the choice of your threshold is very important.
Okay.
Okay. For this problem, remember.
So we need to
Yes, you need
calculate
to calculate
it manually.
You have to calculate it manually. That is the exercise. So given this, you'll have to compute the new number of true positives, new number of true negatives, and then do the computation.
Generally, your assignments will have a lot of Python-based computations, but for quizzes, it will be mostly manual. You won't have Excel or Python there. Therefore, it has to be done manually.
So the question we just discussed, like for different values of threshold, how it will behave, can this be asked in quiz as well?
Yes, it can be.
It is, I mean, time-consuming exercise.
Come on, man. There are certain aspects which are time consuming. You'll have to go through it.
Okay, thank you.
It's an easy problem, but a time consuming problem.
Yeah, that is what I said.
Malalan, one more update Pimlesh has given on the chat. He says for quiz 2, the portions are from week 3 to week 8.
Yeah. Correct. It's from week 3 to week 8.
Hey, one more thing. In assignment 3, graded assignment 3, question 13 is a problem for everyone or only few? Everybody got wrong answers for 13 as well?
No. The problem is, if you go by the hint given in the question and go by the output of the model, it should be exactly 52.
Okay.
If you go by the hint given in the question and go by the output of the model, it will be exactly 52. No range is required.
Okay. Then we'll give marks for 52. That again was a typo from the. I think
the good thing is that there were so many confusions even based on hints. So all the answers are based on the range. So that is a good part. But somehow for question 13, the range itself is wrong as an answer.
See, this was corrected on the portal. I don't know why it is not reflecting, but we will give marks
because if the range is if the range is there, it should be 51.5 to 52.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a typo error, man.
Yes.
So, no, there is a general observation that most of the BA questions are suffering all because of decimal errors. Why is it?
This is
and
because
we don't know how is the exams are going to be there.
That is because the BA graded assignments, at least for quiz 1, did you find any problems like this in quiz 1? I hope you did not.
We do not know that one, in fact.
You can obviously check
what
now.
we saw it in all the assignments, going by what we saw in all the assignments, puts up in fear in the mind.
You have your question papers here along with the answer scripts, so you can obviously compare the ranges. People do that and they do raise it in the forum, and this time we do not have any problems. Significant problems.
Real business world, we are not really running on a precision mechanics here now. It's basically an order of magnitude type of dimensions are going to really give a results of general things.
Correct.
That being the case, why are we sharpening the pencil so fine?
Because when we have to evaluate, we can't give you a guard range of 50 to 60 because people will then try and put random numbers inside it without doing something. We do, and when we simulate data sets, you will not have a significant variation from one data set to another. So we'll have to make sure that the range is small for all of these purposes. For an evaluation,
what I was trying to reach a point here. At the end of the analysis, we need to really come out with the findings, and the finding should be broad brushed one. That's what I am telling. In a real business situation, a subject of this nature has to really help you to really make a judgment calls, not a precision calls. So that being the case, why are we really?
How will you make judgment calls without without telling me what result you have got?
No, you can really question us based on the trends and patterns and whatever it is. That will be more meaningful than really going for what is the precision point is.
I agree with you, sir. But the problem is, our problem is we have a huge scale, so we cannot go
in for these manual. Let's say I will have to measure for a very simple thing. If I will have to do an evaluation of, let's say, a trend graph, very simple graph, a trend graph. Only if you write the answer, you will actually tell me what kind of trend you are observing. If I give you an MCQ, 90% of you will be able to tell me the answer. So the purpose gets lost in terms of an MCQ. Now let's look at it from an evaluation standpoint of everyone writing their own statements. We have a crowd of around 850 plus students. And to evaluate them for all the assignments individually, it's a very, very time consuming and a tedious and nearly not feasible solution. So we use the next best one, which is we try to get the results and we tell you, okay, interpret them on your own, right? So that is how the course is structured. That is explanation number 1. Explanation number 2. Maybe you, Subramanian, are a very experienced business professional, but we do have a significant chunk of students, predominantly in this course, who are just completing their undergraduation or just starting their undergraduation even. For them, if I start talking about a business problem and a business trend without the basics, it will not work. That is why we focus on the basic. And ultimately, this is a BS program, correct? So these are the two explanations.
All right, let's move on to the subject.
Okay.
Thanks for the explanation.
Yeah. Bimlesh, the session on it was not recorded, and we discussed it online primarily because students tend to only complain that they are not we are not giving out solutions, but they never turn up when we ask them.
No, I just
That is why
requested if possible. I had attended that session.
Correct. I know you attend all my sessions, so that is why I'm just trying to explain. And we are not giving out the solution sheet for that very purpose, because it's being misused by a lot of sense. Those who truly are interested, they come. That is why. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, go ahead, Shrishti.
So I have one more question from practice assignment.
Go ahead.
5.
7, no? 5.
No, it's 5. Question number 1.
Question number 1 is 5. Okay, yeah.
Sir, how to frame this, sir?
How to frame this? This is a duality problem, all right? Okay.
Yes.
So, we'll explain this.
It's quite confusing to get the answer like the desired one.
No, okay. This is actually, you don't have to do any computations for this particular question. All right. There after being cautioned, what is the value for y2? Okay. So, corresponding to the first tension is y1, sorry. Okay. For this, you don't have to do anything, but only look at this particular fact, and I'll tell you why. Okay. By the way, before I answer this was originally done by one of our instructors known as Srivatsa, and the video lecture on this was actually the most popular lecture in BA. A lot of people gave a lot of positive feedback for it. So in case if you want, do visit the video lecture again. It is a fantastic lecture by Srivatsa.
I shared that link right now.
Yeah, the duality, this one. Okay, it's also in YouTube. It's basically lecture 5.7. Linear programming and duality in spreadsheets with Python, in spreadsheets and Python. Okay, now let's see what is happening. I will keep this sheet.
So you can copy that question to this whiteboard.
Yeah. I don't think I will be able to copy it. Let's see if I can paste. It's coming like this. Okay, there are some text that it's not reading. Anyway, let's see what we can do. Okay, this is what is given. Z is going to be AX1
Windows. You can do
X2. Yeah.
You can press on the window button, shift button, and S button. Then
window, shift, and S.
Then you can drag, and it will capture the area.
Okay, you want
if you want to question, yes. And then you can paste it here.
Window, shift, and S. Mapping tool.
Yeah, but then you'll have to click to remove all the blues.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I'll do that.
You can do it again.
Shift and S.
Try Control V here on the whiteboard.
Okay. So this is your primal problem. Okay. This is your primal problem. And here, how to convert it to a dual? We just have to do the opposite of everything that is there in the primal. In a nutshell, let's say that is a trick for your exams. So if it's a maximization, it will become a minimization. If it's a lesser than or equal to, it will be a greater than or equal to constraint. Okay. the number of constraints that I have in the dual will be equal to the number of decision variables in my primal, which are the variables in my objective function, x1 and x2. Okay, and the number of decision variables in the dual will be the number of constraints in the primal. So y1 would correspond to this guy, and y2 will correspond to this constraint. So my dual would be minimize y1 plus y2. First thing. What is going to be the coefficients of y1 and y2? They are going to be nothing but the c and f. So minimize c into y1 plus f into y2. That is going to be the dual formulation, dual objective function for this particular thing. Okay?
Yes.
Right. Next comes writing the constraints. Y1 corresponds to constraint 1. All right. So what I will do is, I will take this coefficient 1 into y1 plus d into y2 must be greater than or equal to this variable, which is a. Similarly, 1 into y1 plus e into y2 must be greater than or equal to this variable, which is b. So these are now my formulation. And x1 and x2 greater than or equal to 0. So y1 and y2 will also be greater than or equal to 0. There will be no change in this constraint. Now this is the dual formulation for the primal. Okay. Now what does the question say? It says x1 star and x2 star are the optimal solutions for this problem. And x1 and x2 is equal to c, which means x1 star plus x2 star has completely utilized the resource that is available for me in C. Whereas dx1 star plus dx2 star is less than f, which means there is some more this value plus some slack. Let's call the slack. Only then will this become equal to. Okay.
Yes.
With me so far? All right. And
Slack will be on left hand side.
sorry, I put plus. It should be minus. Then it should be fine. Correct. Okay. So f minus that slack, then I will be able to completely consume my consume the resource f by for x1 and x2. With me so far?
Yes.
All right. Now y1 corresponds to which constraint? It corresponds to constraint number 1, and it has been completely used, which means this variable in this formulation will not be 0, because I have to use that thing now. I have to use that resource.
Could you please repeat this line again?
This is known as a binding constraint. All right.
Yeah.
So a binding constraint is nothing but a constraint where the resource equals the optimal solution. When I substitute the optimal value there, it will be equal to the resource that is available C. That is a binding. It is binding my solution at that point. So for all binding constraints, this y1, the corresponding decision variable, will not be 0. That is the principle. It is known as the dual price.
So why it will not be 0?
Because in the dual, if it's not equal to 0, then these values will come, right? There will be a meaning for having A and B. If it is 0, then there is more scope for increasing x1 and x2 in the primal. The dual price basically tells you the unit worth of this resource C in the primal. So if I am able to increase this resource C, my solution is going to keep on increasing, correct? Because it's a maximization. If I originally had 1 unit, now if I put 2 units, I'll be either able to increase X or Y, X1 and X2 production, which means my objective function is going to go up. So the unit worth of this resource in my primal is significant. And that is why Y1 will not be 0. That particular variable will not be 0 in the dual. Okay? It is the unit worth of a resource. The dual, the variables in the dual are basically going to be the dual price. On the other hand, take F. If I originally had 1 unit, now if I put 2 units, is there going to be any difference in my solution? That's a question. Is there going to be any difference? I originally had 1 unit, of which I was only using, let's say, 0.5. And 0.5 was going to waste, was the slack. Now I am putting 2 units. Will my x1 and x2 change? So Steve, will my x1 and x2 change?
I guess it would change.
It will change. Why? Because I originally was having 1 unit, of which I was only using 0.5. 0.5 was going to waste. So what is the use of me adding 1 more resource to it? 1 more unit of F.
So when we are having when we used 0.5 and we were having 1 to use, so 0.5 are wasted. But
0.5 is not used. Yeah, it's not used. It's going to waste.
Yeah, and if we have 2 units, then 1.5 will waste.
So 1.5 will waste, correct? I'll still be producing only 0.5 and 1.5 will go to waste. The addition of that 1 unit has not changed my decision variables x1 and x2.
Yeah,
because this is a non-binding constraint.
Okay.
So the unit worth of this resource F in my primal is 0. Correct? It is of no worth to me.
Why is it 0? Please repeat, sir.
Because it is of no worth because even if I add more resources of F, my solution for x1 and x2 is not going to change.
Okay.
Correct? It's going to be the same 0.5. Whether I put 1 unit, 2 units, or 3 units, it's always going to be 0.5, and only the wastage is going to keep on increasing.
Okay.
Correct? So the unit worth of this resource is 0. For all non-binding constraints, the unit worth of the resource, let it be F, G, H, whatever constraint, is going to be 0. And that means this value in the dual, which is corresponding to the dual price of constraint 2, will be equal to 0.
Okay, so this x1 star and x2 star, which are optimal and are equal to C, it is given. So when we'll change the C, obviously the x1, x2, either of them or both of them will be changed.
Correct.
Which will directly affect the maximizing primal problem.
Correct.
The solution.
That is why it's known as a binding constraint. Any changes to C will make a change in x1 and x2. Whereas it's a non-binding constraint, any changes in F to a certain extent will not, but after a certain point, it will become a binding constraint. So let's say instead of 1, I make it 0.5. Then this becomes a binding constraint.
So, sir, this binding constraint is always an equivalent constraint.
It's always an equivalent constraint. It is the upper limit.
And this is the inequality always, the non-binding.
This is the inequality, exactly.
Yeah. And so it is an inequality. So changing like the RHS part of this constraint will not affect to some extent to the LHS part, that is x1 and x2 values. That's why it will not directly affect the maximization problem of the primal.
Exactly.
And that's why it the value of y2 star is 0.
Exactly.
It is not of that much importance as compared to the
It is of no importance because its dual price is 0.
Okay.
I
And
will
so,
just,
yeah, if we'll you said about that, if we put it 0.5, then it will become a binding constraint.
Exactly.
So then it would be important. So
then it will be non-zero.
Yeah, then it would be a binding constraint.
Which actually brings me to the second topic, which I was trying to tell you. So now, to see to what level of change F and C can have, what levels of change these coefficients A and B can have, those studies are known as sensitivity analysis, where I will see the range of feasibility if I change the RHS value, and up to a certain point, if my solution does not change. For example, from 1, I bring it down to 0.8, 0.7, 0.6, 0.5, right? Up to 0.6, 0.5, there will be no change in the optimal solution of x1 and x2. So the range of feasibility for F is 0.5 and above. That is known as sensitivity analysis. I don't think it's covered for you guys. sensitivity analysis is not covered. So that is another extension of this particular case.
Malalan, in
Yeah.
BEA, professor has covered sensitivity
Oh,
analysis.
in
shadow
BEA,
pricing.
week 8. Okay, let them do that later then. Yeah.
Okay, understood, sir. And sir, I want to ask, is there any mock plan for this quiz too?
No, my mock is only the previous year question papers that you have.
Okay. So, will we going to have next meet before quiz 2 or not?
No, only this one.
So, if I'll have any doubt while solving the previous year questions, how can I ask it?
You can first thing just check the discourse, because if you have a doubt, someone has already had the doubt and we have addressed it. So that is one thing. Even if after that, if you are not able to find it, then post it in discourse. I'll be happy to answer.
Okay.
Just make sure that you tag me, because if you don't tag me, I will not know the thing. I will not know the question is present. There will be a lot of messages that are there.
Okay, sir. Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, and while we do this, do you guys have any other questions?
Sir,
Yes,
this
sir.
recording will
Can
be
I-
uploaded.
Regarding the recording, thank you for bringing it up. I have spoken to the team. We are working on it. I will make sure that the recordings for the past, I believe, 3 lectures, including this one, 4 of them are made available by tomorrow maximum. I've already spoken to the team. They are working on it. It should have been done by today. I'll make sure that it is uploaded by tomorrow, worst case. All right, for including this lecture.
Okay, on the calendar, right?
It will be on the channel, BA channel. I do not know whether it's there on the calendar. That I'm not sure, but it will be on the BA channel.
Yeah,
And
okay.
the channel
I'm
link is
asking for calendar, sir, when it will be uploaded for in the calendar.
in the calendar. I will tell them. I do not know. I've not been following that up. I'll just tell them.
Okay,
Yeah,
sir.
someone has posted the YouTube channel in chat. Can you just take it from there? Just monitor that channel. It will all be there.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Sir, in practice assignment of week 6, question number 1, I used the formula for VIF,
Okay.
but the answer is coming to be different from what is given.
Okay.
I don't know if
I'll have to
that
check the
formula is
answer.
wrong.
The formula is not wrong.
Like the formula is 1 by 1 minus r square, right?
Yeah, correct.
So according to that, the answer is not coming out to be correct. At least I checked it twice, so I don't know if it's
Okay.
like a calculation.
Let me just check this, and I will give you an update. All right. I'll have to check it with
Okay.
the videos also. I do not want to give a wrong formula here.
Okay.
VIF.
Actually, sir, this is correct while solving.
The
It is
answer is
1.75.
It is R square value, not squaring again. Correct? sir?
Oh, okay. It is given R squared, not R.
Not square value. Yes.
Yeah, good one. Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Oh, right.
Directly R
Okay.
squared. I was just wondering whether I have made a mistake with the formula. Right, okay. It's correct. That is directly given as R squared. Okay.
Okay, that was my
It was
mistake.
not R.
Sir.
This is R squared, not correlation coefficient. Yeah. Okay.
Sir, I have a doubt in previous year paper.
Go ahead. Which one?
Sir, last year January term.
1 second. I have to stop sharing my screen because I don't want to leak this year's paper. Let me just. No, that happened. That actually happened in one of my sessions last time in BDM. Unfortunately, the question before, of course, we did notice it during the thing and we changed it, but I just wanted to be sure. Okay, which year is this?
Sir, last year. Sir, just.
Last year we had three runs. So which
Sir,
term?
last year January term.
January term.
Yes, sir.
Which?
Sir, question number 4.
You should not tell me question number You should tell me was it for week 1 or week 2 paper?
Sir, quiz 2 paper.
Quiz 2 paper. Okay.
Yes, sir. And sir, the question was what is the total market size? And the next question was what is the satiating price for
Okay.
the price demand data based on the fitted model?
Okay.
That is
These
8
two
1
questions.
answer.
Okay. All right. This is an old version. I do not know if there were any corrections in
Market
this.
side, I mean D0 and
D0 and
yes.
saturating price is when you get 0.
D0
So I
by
just share
M.
my share. Okay. I believe this is the question that you're asking me, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. For this, you're
Yes.
already given the model. The
Yes,
Excel
sir.
output is actually given to you. So let's just write that for a minute.
Sir, I wanted to ask, like, without seeing the Excel part, if we are just given the table and we have to calculate the market size, then is there any formula?
There is, but I don't think it was covered for you. There is, you can actually get, I just post it here, but it's not in scope for you guys. It's not given. Beta, let me put it as, okay, beta 1 here for you, it's SLR, right? So beta 1 is going to be n into, sorry, beta 1 is going to be summation x into y minus n into x bar y bar divided by summation x squared minus n into x bar the whole squared. This is basically the ordinary least squares, OLSC, estimate for a beta, right? So you can use this, and beta 0 would be y bar minus beta 1 into x bar. Basically, I'll put it as hat, then it should be correct. So this will give you the beta 1 coefficient, this will give you the beta 0 coefficient for a given set of x and y's.
Okay, sir.
But it's not in scope for you guys, but it is possible to get it using formula as well. You will usually be given a data set, or else what you might be given is, we will tell you that it is a linear data. Then you will have to basically fit this model, y is equal to mx plus c for the data set, find out ym, find out c, and then proceed from there. Okay? So your scope will end over here, or with us giving you the direct output from output from Excel, or we will give you the model by itself. What is y is equal to beta naught plus beta 1 x, right? Well, this basically we will directly give it to you. Either we will give you this model, or we'll ask you to compute it as a straight line equation with a given set of data points, or we will give you the Excel output, and from there you'll have to compute for your quizzes. So that is how the questions will be. Okay.
Okay, sir. And for the second part of the question, which asks what is the satiating price for the price demand data based on the fitted model. Sir, how to do that?
So you got the first one, market size is fine.
Yes, sir.
All right. So for the second one, when I have to find saturating price, basically for this problem, it is going to be y is equal to 8125 minus 194.26 into t. This is the model that you get. Okay. So the saturating price is the price where the demand, in fact, this is not even y, this is demand. So the saturating price is when the price is equal to 0. Sorry, when the demand is equal to 0. So when demand is equal to 0, you will have 8125 is equal to 194.26 p. So p is going to be equal to how much?
41 point.
Yeah, 8125 divided by 194.26. Yeah, so that is going to be 41.82.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So that is going to be your answer.
In the same regression output, if we can take that standard error thing on the intercept and coefficient.
Oh, this is
Here.
Standard error. Okay.
So this T statistics is for the
significance of the
significance of intercept. Null hypothesis being it is not significant. Alternate is like it is significant, and the p-value is less than significance level, so it is significant.
Reject
that part is so that part is clear. But then what is the standard error?
The standard error is basically this is not a fixed number, right? It is got for a set of data, and there is an error associated with it. So that is what this is. So 8125 plus or minus this value could be a good estimate for your intercept. That is what it means.
Then what is this lower 95 and upper 95?
This it is basically a confidence interval on this coefficient. It has nothing to do with the standard error. Lower 9. What is a 95% confidence interval? Mu plus or minus z into sigma by n, right? I forgot. Yeah, you compute the confidence interval. I've not done the confidence interval computation by hand in a long time. So this is basically the interval over which the coefficient should fall. So if my confidence in this coefficient falls within this range, then I okay, if it is the mu, if the mu falls within this range, then I do not reject the null, else I reject the null. Here my mu is basically 0. Now this coefficient is 0. That is my null hypothesis, and it does not fall within this range. Hence I will reject the null hypothesis. That is how it works. It's basically similar to confidence interval in your hypothesis testing. No changes there. Okay. This is a 95% confidence interval on your parameter. Making sense?
Yes, I mean, how this standard error is coming, that calculation, I have the formula, but then what is the meaning of that, I do not.
If you have the formula, you should be able to interpret the meaning. Huh?
Yeah, so if T statistics is like coefficient divided by standard error, that is the thing, I calculated that, but then what is the meaning?
What is, this is what now? Okay, let me put it to you in this sense. What is an Z test doing, or any test statistic, what is doing? It is basically computing the distance between the proposed value of the statistic, basically H naught, right? Whatever you are using, your H naught, and the actual sample statistic that is got. This is what any hypothesis testing is basically doing. It is basically look, or any Z statistic or T statistic is actually doing. The sample stat, let's take the mean, for example. You're proposing that the mean of the distribution is 0. And you're getting an X bar has, let's say, 50. You're converting this to a standard normal value. Standard normal curve. What is that X bar corresponding to? That is your Z. And is that Z significantly away from the standard normal Z for this hypothesis? Right? So how do you compute the Z? You basically divide it by the sigma. So you get X bar minus mu by sigma, right? This is what you do for your Z statistic. Same way, in this example, your intercept is 8125 minus 0, because you are telling it is not significant, which means beta 1 is equal to 0. So 8125 minus 0 by the standard error, which is going to be your sigma, that is your test statistic. And then for this test statistic, you find the p-value. Yes, it is significant. 8125 is significantly far away from 0 for my data set. So you will reject the null. Making sense now?
Thank you.
Got it? Okay.
Sir, you will be giving this table in the exam?
Yes, we will either, that is what I told you, no? We'll either give you this output or we will give you versions of this output. We might add some things over here itself and give you. Some way or the other, the required information will be given to you. If I don't give it to you, then you will end up with a scenario that looks like this. Either you will be given only this equation, y hat is equal to beta naught plus beta 1 x, and from there you should proceed. Or else I will tell you fit a linear straight line model for the data. Then you just fit it as a y is equal to mx plus c kind of a model, plug in two values, find m, find c, then proceed from there.
Oh, without Excel, how do we fix the regression curve?
No, I'm not asking you to fit. Second, my screen.
Oh, you're not going to fit.
I'm not asking you to. I'm not asking you to fit this model. I'm asking you to fit a straight line equation. This guy you can fit now. Given a set of points, you can take y1 is equal to mx1 plus c and y2 is equal to mx2 plus c. Solve these two equations, get m and c, and be done with it. You might be asked to do that.
If I ask simple linear algebraic.
Yeah, simple line, straight line equation.
Okay.
If it's a regression equation,
ANOVA table is a tricky one, no? Because a lot of things are not. So we see it regularly, but not use it.
Correct. So that is why you had this problem in one of your exams. You will have versions of these in different exam question papers if you see. For sometimes you would not have given all of these. We would have only given you sample size, intercept, all of these there, and asked you to count the degrees of freedom, so on and so forth. You don't need the ANOVA table to tell anything about the degrees of freedom. In some papers, we would have left these cells blank. We would have given you S. We would not have given you SS. We would have given you MS, asked you to calculate SS, then the F statistic, so on and so forth. So all that would be done.
It would be nice if we can have some sample questions based on this table.
You do have it. Previous question papers do have it. This is one.
The assignments we have not done that one. This type of things. So we straight away go on.
The assignment. In the assignment, our primary goal is to see whether you are able to fit the model. Look, the assignment and the quizzes serve a different purpose. The assignment is to help you build the model on your own. That is the goal. The quizzes is to check whether you have understood it or not. And your practice problems are a very basic version. We expect you to use the practice problems, then build from that. The quiz papers will obviously be one step higher than your practice problems. We got a complaint initially that the practice problems are very simple, but we deliberately keep it like that. The practice problems are meant to be simple, and your quiz problems are one step higher, so that you will have to have some challenge there, right? That's how it works. And your batch, basically, when you say that you're finding the quizzes difficult, then it means that you have not seen past quizzes. That is all. Because most of the concepts by now, 6 papers, 6 plus another close to 5 papers, 11 question papers are of the past is available to you guys in some form or the other. So we cannot think anything different. That is the challenge that we are facing right now.
Would you mind in giving the link of that one? Another 5 years, you know.
Sure, I will have a look. It is there in Discourse. Okay, while people search for that, what I will do is I will see if there is a Discourse link. Someone had actually put it. Some student had kept it. I will also search for that. I'll post it here. Any other questions?
Malalan, student has posted that.
Oh, damn. Okay, they are very faster. Thank you, man. Whoever did it, very nice of you.
But any this week 8 content, can we discuss briefly?
Sure.
Yeah,
week
but,
8.
I'll admit that I haven't gone through even one lecture in week 8.
Okay. Week 8, Swami, over to you.
Sure. Sure. Any questions?
No, if you can cover the concept of BKT.
Oh, so this is a topic called data envelopment analysis, where you are calculating the productive efficiency of a decision-making unit. So decision-making unit could be a person, you could compare two people, or you could compare two companies. The best example I could think of is you can compare two cricketers. Let us say you want to compare Sachin and Dravid, who's a better test player. Each are very different. If you look at Rahul Dravid, his number of matches are different. Number of centuries scored by Rahul Dravid is different. Similarly, Sachin is different. If you want to compare them, if you want to compare Sachin on Rahul Dravid's metrics, or if you want to compare Rahul Dravid on Sachin's metric, you could use this tool called data envelopment analysis. And here, the efficiency of a decision-making unit cannot be greater than 1. So you can compare the decision-making unit's efficiency of one with the other. That's what we are doing it here. We are doing it in different ways. The simple way, we will start with a graphical method. We'll show how two efficiencies are compared. And the same thing is being carried out using a linear programming approach. So there you will also see some applications of dual, shadow price, and so on. So that's covered there. And this is typically a non-linear problem. That's because you have output. Output is, ratio. Ratio is nothing but output by input. So the moment you have a numerator and a denominator, it becomes a non-linear problem. So therefore, we are simplifying the problem by normalizing the denominator, and then we are maximizing the numerator. So all these things you will see when you go through the lectures. I think fantastic lecture recorded by Professor Rahul. He has made it very clear. You will thoroughly enjoy this lecture.
Thank you. By any chance, this resembles a decision tree algorithm?
Not much, but there are lots of applications of DEA, and there are many versions of DEA. Here, we are going to cover only simple ones. We'll see a graphical method and a linear programming method. So I was talking about efficient DMUs and inefficient DMUs. So the first thing is we'll identify which decision-making units or which companies are efficient and which are not efficient. So this is the first thing we will do. And once we identify inefficient decision-making units, we will see ways by which we can make them efficient. So how do we make them efficient? We have to either reduce the input or we have to increase the output. So these two, the method of doing this is covered in this lecture.
Oh, thank you.
So if there are no more questions, we can conclude this session.
Thank you for the session.
Okay. Thank you, Malalan, for your patient explanations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I did not thank you, Punala, for sharing that link. Guys, you don't need my question bank because that is basically the question bank that you have. Click on it. I believe it's maintained by the IIT BSc team itself. You will get all of your previous question papers, 2022 March, May. So it is all that. I will just see if there are anything that is even before that. If I have anything before that, I'll make it available as possible, if possible. Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, October 21, March 21, yeah, March 22, and October 21 for the diploma quiz 1. So quiz 2. Yeah. So most of your papers are there. Okay.
All the best, everyone, on your quiz 2.
Yeah. Take my advice, just make sure that you revise your concepts, do not get confused, do not get panicked. Just read the questions 1 or 2 times, then it should be clear. Okay, so just take that as a suggestion. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.